Well, good morning, everyone. For those of you that don't know, I am Sheriff Lombardo for Clark County. I don't have very much more to update you with from our previous briefings. One thing in particular that has changed in the negative is our body count. You know what, that's the wrong way to say it. The number of people that have died associated with this event has increased. Right now we're using the number of 58. I just was informed that it may be 59 of an individual that may have expired at Sunrise Hospital. So in normal fashion, I do not want to give you bad information. So please do not press me on that number until we get further into this investigation. The number of injured, we are using the number of 515. And as you can tell, as the hours go by, that number continues to increase. We have not received any additional intelligence associated with the suspect. We have completed the search warrant in Mesquite. I am not aware of any derogatory information that we can utilize to furtherance of this investigation at this point, but we have just recovered items, and it will take a little while to evaluate that information. We have learned information of additional property in northern Nevada, and the FBI has responded to the location and will be serving a search warrant here shortly. We have completed the investigation at the room. We have collected all the items associated with the suspect, and we are in the recovery phase of that. The Mandalay Bay itself has gone back to service minus the 32nd floor, and they would like everybody advised that if they are separated from their hotel room, they have the ability to return to the hotel. Now, the location in question, the concert hall, we will be in a long process of body recovery out there and evidence recovery and evidence documentation. So you're going to have to ask the public's patience, and as we bring information forward, it's a long, laborious process to identify the victims and reunite them with the family members to advise them of their situation. So we still have the families responding to the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department headquarters in order to conduct a reunification of their family or friends. Eventually, in the next few hours, actually, I don't want to give you a skewed timeline, but approximately 1 p.m. we will request the family members to respond to the convention center area to utilize a larger space, and we could bring in the victim advocates to assist with the family members in the long term. Right now it's just a temporary phase associated with the reunification. Additionally, we are asking to solely utilize United Blood Service for blood donation and UMC as the only places to donate blood. We had some resource issues associated with the laborers medical clinic. I applaud their effort to help us in that effort, but we have some resource issues associated with that. So better utilize lvmpd.com to ensure that you know where those United Blood Service locations are, so we can get the needed life-saving blood for the victims associated with this. At this point, as you can tell, I have several individuals to my rear that would like to make comment. Reference the ISIS statement. I want to bring that up now, so I give the opportunity to Special Agent Rouse to respond to that from the FBI, and he will explain what we know now reference the ISIS claim in this individual. Thank you.
Good morning. As this event unfolds, we have determined to this point no connection with an international terrorist group. As this investigation continues, we will continue to work with our partners to ensure that this is factually, thoroughly, and absolutely investigated to be able to bring comfort and peace back to this community.
Yeah, we're with the director of AMR Medic West. My first question is, what has your response been like for this event?
It's been an all-in effort. We have people that are on duty, people who came in off duty. It's every man, every woman coming in, volunteering, making sure that everybody's okay. We had multiple units last night. You couldn't even park in our parking lot. We had so many people that responded. We responded over 120 units between our two agencies, all of them rotating. They would pick up patients. As soon as they picked up a patient and dropped them off at the hospital, they were coming back to make sure that they picked up more until we knew that every last person who needed medical care had medical care.
Can you, though, talk to me? I mean, you're giving me numbers. What's it like on your heart to see this kind of massacre?
You know, this is one of those things where we have to really step up our professionalism. As we walk into these situations, especially being locals, there's a good chance we're going to run on our family members, our friends, and we're prepared for that emotionally, mentally, and as we get into those situations, you can't help but have empathy. Every time you look at a patient, you know that there's somebody's brother, sister, mother, father, and you know that there's a good chance that somebody's getting some bad news. You know that some people are getting some good news, and it hurts your heart as a human being, and you have the professional side of you, and it's hard to separate the two at times, but we definitely have that switch that we're able to turn on. And last night, our employees, all of our first responders in this valley were able to flip that switch and respond. There were people who were first responders off duty last night. As soon as they heard the chaos, automatically flipped on that switch and started going right into patient care mode. We had people that were in ambulances that were wearing jeans that just left the festival that were saying, you know what, there's people in there that need my help. I'll worry about getting home or notifying my family members later. I need to help.
You're talking about professionalism, but is this anything you can train for? I mean, this is a first in U.S. history.
You can train mentally as much as you can, but until you actually face the situation, you'll never know how you can respond. I think this is a situation, as we see all these different situations unfold, we saw it in Florida, we saw it in Sandy Hook, and we know that these situations are very real and very possible, especially being Las Vegas as a large tourist destination. So we talk about these events, we verbally plan for these events, and we hope that we're ready, and I think that we showed that we were prepared last night.
I know this might be sensitive, but have there been those painful moments when the first responders get there? I mean, we're a big little town. It's a very real chance they could know somebody and not realize what they're going to see when they get there.
Unfortunately, we did have that happen with some of our crews. We did reach out to them. They reached out to us. We are very understanding of the situation. We have several counselors on scene at both AMR and Medic West this morning, making sure that any of our employees that were there last night or any of our employees that may have suffered some type of loss or any type of incident have somebody that they can reach out to, talk to, and make sure that they're okay.
We have time now. I mean, what's your message for people at home? Some people are feeling helpless. Some people just want to know what they can do. Do you have something you want to say to them?
You know, I think that we saw a great outpouring from the community. My wife was telling me this morning that all blood banks are, all blood donation centers are full. So that's one thing. You got other people that are just going to need other things as time goes along. This is just the beginning, so we don't know what everybody's going to need, but be open, be receptive, know that this is a community effort, and even though we're here on the front lines, it's going to be a long time here on out that we're going to have to recover, and we can all come together as a community and make sure that happens.
Thank you so much for speaking with me. I'm going to toss it back to you all in the studio.
As bullets started raining down on Sunday, Sonny Melton's instinct was to protect his wife of just over a year, Heather. He grabbed her and started running when he was shot in the back. Heather says, he saved my life and lost his. At this point, I can barely breathe. Melton was a registered nurse in Tennessee. His wife is a surgeon. They met at the hospital and fell in love.
He was a very kind, loving person that everybody liked a lot.
He was shot in the chest.
Bryce Jordan lined up to donate blood just hours after learning his cousin, Quentin Robbins, was killed. Robbins attended the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. In his free time, he coached his little brother's flag football team.
I love Quentin. He was a very popular kid around school and around town.
At least 2 Manhattan Beach, California residents died in the massacre, including Rachel Parker, a longtime records technician for the police department, and special education teacher Sandy Casey. Her partner Christopher said, she lived life to the fullest and made me the happiest man in the world. Secretary Lisa Romero and Office Manager Susan Smith also among the victims. 28-year-old single mother Jessica Klimchuk was visiting Vegas with her fiancé Brent Erla. You are heaven sent. You are my one and only, she wrote to him last week. She leaves behind 4 children. Several police officers are also among the victims, including Las Vegas officer Charleston Hartfield.
One of my officers was off duty attending the concert and lost his life.
One witness said off-duty officers in the crowd were injured when they acted as human shields.
They laid over top of us every time a round was fired.
Mechanic Jordan McKilden was a big fan of Las Vegas. He crossed paths with Heather Goose in the chaos. I am with a young man who died in my arms, she wrote on Facebook. Tonight, as the death toll climbs, so many people still searching for loved ones and answers. Families are being directed here to this convention center. With so many casualties, the identification process will be complicated. They may go days without knowing for sure what happened to their loved ones.
As chaos turned to carnage, thousands ran for exits, while those in uniform poured in to help. First responders risking their own lives to save others.
We're taking on fire. It's going right over our heads.
Wearing Kevlar helmets and vests, they tended to the wounded any way they could.
We're making tourniquets out of blankets, but I'm running out of blankets here.
The seriously injured were everywhere, carried on stretchers and wheelbarrows. Those that could help did.
Right now, we need your truck. We just need to get people over to the hospital, okay?
There were trucks that had 8 people in the back of them.
Trauma supervisor Tony Mullen has never seen anything like it before.
We put gurneys outside. We had wheelchairs outside waiting for the people to be brought in.
For hours, ambulances ferried in those clinging to life, overwhelming 5 hospitals.
You don't see is at capacity for victims unless it's life-threatening.
All emergency personnel called in to help. Today, hundreds waited for hours to donate much-needed blood to help victims like Nick Rabone, shot in the chest. His brother, a paramedic, saved his life, then those of strangers.
Just a combined effort of bystanders just helping people. It was like one of the most beautiful, craziest things I've ever seen in the side of a tragedy.
The worst of times bringing out the best in some. So many saved among so much loss.
At the 2 largest trauma centers in Las Vegas, including this one, at least a dozen remain in critical condition. 50 more face serious surgeries, and while so many lives were saved, it's important to remember tonight, many are still fighting for their lives.
We are just beginning to learn the identities of the victims. Carter Evans is following that part of the story. Carter?
Anthony, you could just imagine what the triage must have been like. Ambulances arriving one after the other. In all, more than 500 patients were transferred to local hospitals, but not all of the critically wounded arrived in an ambulance.
In the chaos, confused concertgoers ran in any direction they could, over walls, on top of each other, and into hotel lobbies, just trying to get out of the line of fire.
What is it? Be advised, it is automatic fire. Fully automatic fire from an elevated position. Take cover.
Gail Davis was at the concert.
This girl had been standing right beside me, and she had fallen, and first she stood there and she grabbed her stomach. She looked at her hands are bloody, and she just kind of screamed, and she just fell back.
Concertgoers who were not injured became first responders, moving victims in wheelbarrows, office chairs, and hotel luggage carts. Tom McIntosh was shot in the leg when a stranger stopped the bleeding and drove him to the emergency room in the back of a truck.
You're surrounded by thousands of people, and you don't know who's shooting at you. It's pretty stressful.
More than 100 gunshot victims poured into University Medical Center, according to trauma surgeon Jay Coates.
These patients, with so many coming in so fast, we did what's called damage control, which is really just stopping the process of dying.
Move on to the next one.
Got the next one in, and we did that all night.
By morning, more than 50 people from the Route 91 concert were dead, like 29-year-old Sonny Melton from Tennessee, Rachel Parker from Manhattan Beach, California, and Charleston Hartfield, a Las Vegas cop who coached youth football. Hundreds more survived, and with hospitals running short on resources, they put out a plea for blood. Jeff Coe was one of many who stood in line to donate.
This is a small thing, right? But you look outside and there's all kinds of people that want to donate. They're going to get blood as much as they need.
This is University Medical Center. It's the only level 1 trauma center in the state. Last night, they took in 104 patients. Now, 4 of them died. 12 are still in critical condition. But Anthony, 40 have already been treated and released.
Carter, they're doing incredible work there. Thanks.
Tu l'as vu?
Among the people caught in the gunfire, dozens of Southern Californians.
And many are telling their stories of survival. Now, of the 15 Southern Californians who lost their lives are a special education teacher, a Disneyland employee, and a war hero.
CBS 2's Cara Finstrom is live at the Manhattan Beach Police Department, where a memorial has been set up. Cara?
Good morning, Jeff. Manhattan Beach now mourning two of their own. Here at the police department, Rachel Parker used to work in this front lobby. Her co-workers say she brightened everyone's day with her smile. Behind us, you can see some of the flowers that have been left here, some pictures as well at a growing memorial to her. We've got some other pictures to show you of the 33-year-old. She was off duty with co-workers at that concert when she was shot. Paramedics rushed her to the hospital, but doctors were not able to save her. A Manhattan Beach police officer she was with was shot too. He is expected to be okay. Parker had worked with this department for 10 years. At the same time, this community is mourning a special education teacher, and we have a picture to show you of Sandy Casey. She'd worked with the Manhattan Beach School District for 9 years, nurturing a close class of 16 children.
And there was just a great deal of love in the classroom. You can feel it. There was humor in there. There was caring in there. Our message to families is to love your kids hard.
Survivors of the Las Vegas massacre are also coming home, trying to cope with the horrors they experienced. Assistant Fire Chief Steve Tresk was with his wife at that concert. They heard the gunfire, took off running. One bullet hit him in the arm, another grazed his back. He still managed to grab 8 other people and direct them to safety.
As we were running with our backs to the Mandalay Bay, we could hear the rapid fire of the rifle coming right by us.
And Jeff and Sharon, a lot of support now pouring in from the community here in Manhattan Beach. We can tell you that there will be officers from other departments here filling in on shifts so that the people here have some time and space to mourn. And we also know that at the school today where that teacher died, there will be counselors on hand to help the staff and the families.
Support and love is what these victims need, and survivors need as well. We are hearing from a young Orange County survivor this morning. 21-year-old Mackenzie Lane was shot in the ankle. Her boyfriend helped carry her away from the concert. And when she finally got medical help, she realized just how lucky she was.
When I was running and when I was holding him and I was looking behind him, there were bodies like everywhere. I got inside and there were people holding their necks. There was people holding the back of their heads, and I looked at the ambulance and I looked at the EMTs and I said, I don't need to be here. Like, you need to take care of these people.
Lane is now recovering at her uncle's house in Las Vegas.
Now with a closer look at how police are trying to protect so-called soft targets after that deadly shooting in Las Vegas at the concert. Our senior national correspondent Matt Gutman is there in Las Vegas with us and has more on that side of the story. Good morning, Matt.
Hey, good morning, Robin. Officials have known that there are ways to have protected that crowd. They could have put snipers up on the rooftops, metal detectors in that hotel there, helicopters and drones in the sky, but that would have made it feel more like an airport than a country music festival.
Route 91 Harvest, billed as a 3-day feel-good country music festival, but on the last night, instead of the twang of music, the staccato of gunfire.
I felt very secure in the festival for 2 full days.
Eyewitnesses telling us the concert had bag checks, metal detector wands, and a 5-foot fence securing the perimeter.
And on the face of it, it seems that that concert venue was well protected. You can see that fencing around the entire perimeter of that field. But what nobody could have expected is that the shooter would have been perched 32 stories up, blasting through that window right there and firing down on that field.
After an ISIS sympathizer drove a truck into a mass of people in Nice, France, New York police began protecting large gatherings with a barricade of garbage trucks filled with sand. 2 other attacks on concerts in the last 2 years on the Eagles of Death Metal in Paris and Ariana Grande's performance in Manchester also have experts rethinking security. Sunday's massacre could be what experts call a threshold event, with authorities now having to police the sky as well. Expect to see more helicopters and drones.
They will probably start putting people up on the roofs to see if anything suspicious is going on.
Now, Robin, I want you to see the Vegas Strip. It has 6 of the top biggest hotels in the world, and officials have long been concerned that America's playground may also have been one of its softest targets. Robin.
There always was great concern, especially with the casinos. All right, Matt, thanks very much.
I just want everyone here to really, not just be sad, but also be proud of Las Vegas, because that's who we are.
And he was just like, Mommy, are you okay? When are you coming home? And I'm trying to tell him that I can't leave yet, and he's freaking out. So it's hard. It's hard. I just want to go home to my baby.
We heard the first round of shots, and we kind of gathered up enough, we got to get out of here. There was no way out, really. The quickest way out was towards the airport. So we ran. We kind of followed a mass group of people. They got to a couple of the buildings, were breaking the windows, opening the doors. I don't blame them, just looking for any type of shelter. But we got to a point where we were at a dead end.
We need to do something. We need to do something now. It's one thing to pray and send your thoughts, but let's honor these victims by doing something to make sure that this doesn't happen again.
Everybody started kind of charging our direction, and we were standing there just dancing, and we weren't understanding. And then you can hear that machine gun, I can't even. That was the worst. And then everybody's running and screaming, and there's people trampling people.
Body. Then the last one, it's a body, and he's shot in the stomach, and his buddies are on top of him trying to revive him. And they're crying, they're panicking, the people are screaming, they're behind a wall. The girls now are freaking out. Now one of them is she wants to call her dad, and she doesn't want to run anymore, and it's time, we're running. And I just said to anybody who was behind me, run to the dark. And it's the darkest side over there where all that blackness is, and just run. Not knowing that it's still just in clear sight. We didn't know. So then as we're running, there's a car in the middle of the road, and there's people taking cover on the outside of the car in the middle of the road, and the passenger is shot. So we ran until we got to the other side, and then we ran out of room. There's on that side, there's fences you can't go through, and 2 guys ran up, grabbed the fence, and pulled it back just enough for me to get through so I could get to the other side and pull it through.
I assure you this investigation is not ended with the demise of Mr. Paddock. I can't tell you her current whereabouts right now. All I know is the Philippines, and we are in conversation. Currently, she's a person of interest. The girlfriend. You heard me say that we're comfortable that we have the suspect in the custody, but something more may come of that investigation. And I want to understand the motivation that you describe, okay, to prevent any future incidents. And, did this person get radicalized unbeknownst to us? And we want to identify that source. I'm not aware of any transmission, but there was cameras. There was cameras located outside of the room and inside of the room, along with the firearms.
And he had set up how many cameras?
What are the modifications associated with the weaponry? ATF is participating in that evaluation. I can't give you an answer on whether any of them are automatic or not, but we are aware of a device called a bump stock, and that enables an individual to speed up the discharge of ammunition. I don't want to give you any more details than that, but in partner with the FBI, the ATF, they are sending those weapons back east to the FBI crime lab for further evaluation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Sheriff.
As bullets started raining down Sunday, thousands began their desperate attempts to escape. But Karen Smerber couldn't. Shot in the stomach, she was doubled over in pain. Instead of running, she called her husband.
I was going to die, but this is it. Had to say goodbye.
But the call home was interrupted by a Good Samaritan. The man with a motive to kill still firing from his 32nd floor sniper's nest. Now another man with a mission to save carried the mother of 4 away from harm.
Yep, my guardian angel showed up. His name's Sean, and he picked me up. And carried me out of there.
Sean Topper flagging down a car, riding with her to the hospital. Incredibly, the bullet had passed through her without hitting any vital organs.
When you think about the fact, Karen, that you were in this situation, you were probably bleeding significantly.
I was bleeding to death. If he didn't get me here, I would have died.
Today we were there when Sean stopped by. On his 24th birthday, he's at the bedside and says there's no better gift than seeing her recover.
Whether we like it or not, our lives are intertwined forever.
Yeah.
Sean won't accept a hero title for what he did that night. He saw her and reacted. But Smurber's husband, Matt, says he deserves that and more.
I'm still married today, and I have and my kids have their mom and stepmom, and because of one heroic person.
Now making a strong recovery, the moments of terror haunt Smurber's dreams. But when she awakes, she holds on to another memory. The moment a stranger picked her up and saved her life. Katie Beck, NBC News, Las Vegas.
Finally tonight, America Strong. We see it everywhere here, the acts of kindness. All across Las Vegas, testaments to the strength and resolve of this community. We see it in the faces here, amid unimaginable grief, finding comfort in one another. In the shadow of such horror, a message of solidarity. Our prayers for the victims, our gratitude for the first responders. We see it in the small moments too here. This family pausing to hug a police officer. And at the Canyon Ridge Christian Church, thousands of voices uniting in one powerful chorus. Thank you for watching here on a Wednesday night. I'm David Muir. I hope to see you tomorrow. Good night.